The Vice President addresses concerns of Indigenous communities' access to benefit from the government's new low-carbon development strategy. Sporting events and extracurricular activities are soon to be reintroduced into the educational curriculum. Reading Blue Soap Smuggler pleads guilty. In the region, Haiti fuel crisis. Drivers plan strike action after kidnappings. And internationally, Malawi sees child marriages double amid COVID crisis. Greetings and welcome to another edition of Channel 2 Headline News Updates. I am Baby Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. On Monday, Vice President Dr. Jagdeo addressed concerns about Indigenous communities' access to benefit from the government's new low-carbon development strategy. Speaking at the Arthur Chung Convention Center, Dr. Jagdeo expressed his government's commitment to ensuring that the Indigenous people of Guyana benefit directly from the strategy.
In the LCDS, the money earned, we set aside a huge sum of money from that earned through the Norway agreement to spend in the Amerindian communities of Guyana.
The Vice President said a total of $17 million has already been set aside for the information and communication technology development in the hinterland, along with some $10 million for land titling activities. Dr. Jagdeo went on to say that the government has already committed to using a portion of all monies earned to help the Amerindian communities.
We have pledged that in any future sale of forest carbon, that 15%, at least 15%, will go directly to these communities. And if we can earn $500 million per year, from $500 million over the period, just imagine what 15% of $500 million would be.
Earlier this year, the government allocated $630 million for the resurrection of the Amerindian land titling project. Another $58 million was set aside for the expansive development of Amerindian communities. The Guyana Police Force is investigating the alleged murder of a 49-year-old doctor whose lifeless body was found in his office at Duke Street, Kingston on Tuesday night. That is Dr. Colin Roach of Windsor Estate, East Bank, Demerara. Preliminary investigations revealed that Dr. Colin Roach owned and operated the International Medical Clinic located in a 3-story building at Duke Street, Kingston. According to the two males who worked with the doctor, around 3 p.m., the clinic was closed for business. One of the men went out while the other retired to his living quarters in the top flat, leaving the doctor in his office on the middle flat. It is further alleged around 8 p.m., a male was seen exiting the building. He returned about 7 minutes later and re-entered the clinic. Shortly after 10 p.m., the doctor's vehicle PXX 4000 drove out of Duke Street heading north. It was further observed that the lights in the doctor's office were still on, which prompted one of the male staff to call the doctor on his cell phone. However, he got no answers. The other male staff was alerted. Upon using his key to enter the office to take off the lights, he discovered the doctor lying motionless on his back in a pool of blood in the examination area. The police were summoned and a wound that appears to be a lash was seen on the left side of the victim's forehead. The man's 2 cell phones were also missing. EMT doctors pronounced him dead on the scene. The body is presently at the Memorial Gardens mortuary awaiting a post-mortem examination. The 2 males have been detained for further questioning. Additionally, the Ministry of Health in a statement said the ministry is saddened and shocked at the death of Dr. Colin Roach. Quote, "We express our deepest condolences to the family and friends of Dr. Roach. Guyana has lost one of its young but experienced doctors. Significantly, our country has lost one of the most experienced biomedical pathologists. Dr. Roach was part of the pioneering team that began revolutionizing laboratory science in Guyana and was a leading member of the team that began the transformation of manual procedures to automated technology." The Sophia woman who was caught smuggling marijuana within numerous bars of blue soaps at the Lusignan prison on Monday appeared in the Cove and John Magistrates Court yesterday. 20-year-old Monica Caesar of Cummins Street, Sophia, was brought before Magistrates Fabio Azor and pleaded guilty. Caesar was arrested and charged with the offense of possession of narcotics for the purpose of trafficking and taking prohibited articles without lawful authorities. Reports said that on November 1st, the woman attempted to smuggle marijuana into the Lusignan prison for an inmate in numerous bars of blue soap. Upon a search of the contents, prison authorities found within several bars of soap 8 plastic parcels with leaves, seeds, and stems weighing 22 grams. Cesar was fined $13,200 along with 6 months of community services for the narcotics charge and $26,000 or 1 month imprisonment for the prohibited article charge. Stick around after the break. Sporting events and extracurricular activities soon to be reintroduced into the educational curriculum, and taxi driver arrested for robbing his passenger.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 46 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brick Dam and White Castle Fish Shop. Be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
For decades, milk has remained the same, until now. Introducing the Great Dairy Full Cream Milk from Alabama Trading. Enriched with vitamins A to D and calcium to promote healthy teeth, strong bones, and vitality. Great Dairy Milk is delicious and fortified to encourage healthy cell growth within the body. No wonder it's the #1 brand of milk produced in Ireland. Now available nationwide in 400-gram packages at leading supermarkets and wholesale vendors. Distributed by Alabama Trading.
Furnishing your home or office has never been easier. Here at Kissoon's, our inventory of locally made and imported furniture, offered at amazing prices, will leave you wanting more. From vinyl, floor rugs and carpets, bedroom, dining and living room sets, mattresses, pillows, office desk, chairs and filing cabinets, outdoor benches and tables. We have a piece of furniture for every room imaginable in your home or office. Check out our flagship store at Industrial Site Rijnveld or one of our branches in New Amsterdam, Port Morant, Riverton and Camp Street. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 50 years.
At John Lewis Styles, we carry only first quality men's and women's clothing, footwear, and accessories. As authorized dealers, our items come directly from the manufacturing brands and are available in all sizes and colors. What we sell was never on display in another store. It's time you know the truth about what you buy. Come visit us on Waterloo Street. John Lewis Styles. Simply different.
Welcome back. On Tuesday, Minister of Education Priya Manichan said sports and other extracurricular activities would be incorporated into the school's curriculum because they provide tremendous benefits. The minister made this statement while accepting a donation of 50 table tennis tables from the Chinese Embassy at the National Center for Educational Resource Development.
The inclusion of sport and physical activity in what has hitherto been known as extracurricular activity into the academic curriculum has been endorsed universally around the world as being beneficial to the students whose main intention it is to pursue academia.
Minister Manichan said the donation of the 50 tables and equipment from the Chinese Embassy will benefit secondary school students, especially those in the hinterland regions.
These 50 table tennis tables will go to 50 schools. We will ensure that the hinterland high schools and primary tops are first beneficiaries because we believe we can do much there and they often are left behind.
Meanwhile, Ambassador of the People's Republic of China, Guo Haiyan, said sporting activities may help to bridge divides, break down barriers, and strengthen the friendship between countries throughout the world. Dr. Marcel Hudson, Chief Education Officer, and Godfrey Monroe, President of the Guyana Table Tennis Association, were also present at the handing over ceremony. A hire car driver is now in police custody, while his 2 accomplices are on the run after they allegedly robbed a 21-year-old female with a knife at Lenora Public Road, West Coast, Demerara, on Tuesday, November 2nd. According to a police report, around 11:15 p.m., the victim left work and stopped a motorcar, PVV 5519, to transport her to her residence. She entered the back seat where a male was seated while another male was in the front passenger seat. in the vicinity of Lenora Stadium. The male passenger in the front seat told the driver to stop. The male in the back seat pulled out a knife and cut the victim's purse, which contained one cellular phone valued at $30,000, one black purse valued at $11,000, and contained some $14,500 in cash, along with one national identification card and one COVID-19 vaccination card. The woman was subsequently pushed out of the car and the driver fled east. A report was made, and quick response by the police led to the driver of the car being intercepted at Windsor Forest Public Road, West Coast, Demerara. He was arrested and placed into custody pending further investigations. The other two males have not yet been contacted. The Guyana Police Force has issued a wanted bulletin for 62-year-old Sidney Charles James of George Avenue, Lamaha Springs, North Rhinefeld. The former head of the Special Organized Crime Unit and former Assistant Commissioner of Police is wanted for questioning in relation to a series of reports of obtaining money by false pretense and fraud committed in Georgetown, Guyana. Anyone with information that may lead to the arrest of Sidney James is asked to contact the Special Organized Crime Unit on 225-3079, 225-3084 or the nearest police station. Don't go away after the break. Nicaragua accused of running internet troll farm, and climate change. Philippines coastal communities battle rising sea levels. But before that, here's the bridge retraction schedule.
Smart Minds Educational Institute, offering preschool, nursery, and primary levels. Finally, a school that is every parent's dream. Located at 69 Crow Street, offering academic excellence, trained qualified teachers, small class sizes, personalized gear, and one-to-one attention for your little ones. At Smart Minds, register for full-time or evening classes, daily practice pass exam papers for proficiency at the grade 2, 4, and 6 assessment, and CXE exam preparedness. Or join our Becca Phonics reading and writing program. So if your child is for preschool, nursery, or primary level, come to Smart Mind, located at 69 Street, or call 231-4885 or 600-9229 to enroll now.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for do a surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Survival Shopping Complex brings to you its delivery service, Shop through WhatsApp. This process is simple. All you need to do is call or message your grocery list to 613-9683 and we will select your items for you and have them delivered directly to you, even out of town. This is convenient because we can stay on the phone with you as we select your favorite brands. We're happy to do your shopping for you. Contact us on WhatsApp today and shop price smart at Survival Shopping Complex.
Kingdom-based taxi service, transportation for every occasion. Short drop, airport, weddings, funerals, and much more. We're located at Lot H. Durbin and Vicingen Road, next to Green City Bar. For honest, efficient, and reliable service, call Kingdom-based taxi service at 648-5959 or 227-7937. You can count on us.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at news in the region and around the world. The company behind Facebook and Instagram has removed more than 1,000 fake accounts in Nicaragua, which it says were part of a misinformation campaign by the Nicaraguan government. Meta says those that ran the accounts include staff at the telecom regulator and Supreme Court. It comes ahead of presidential elections this weekend with the president's main challengers jailed. The United States has described the elections as a sham. The accounts were controlled by Daniel Ortega's government and the FSLN ruling party, Facebook closed 937 accounts, 140 pages, and 24 groups, as well as 363 Instagram accounts. Fuel truck drivers in Haiti are considering further strike actions after armed gangs kidnapped several workers this week. The union insists on their release, but the strike is likely to compound a fuel crisis that has brought much of the country to a standstill. Al Jazeera's John Hendren reports.
Idled lines of cars snake through Haiti's capital, drivers biding their time till the pumps come to life. Without fuel, the Port-au-Prince economy is as motionless as the queues of vehicles. As police protect the tanks in the Haitian heat, frustrations run high.
We want the guys to try to work, but we can't. There is nothing. We don't have anything to do in Haiti. It's a bad country.
Wadler Pierre, who drives a taxi locals call a tap-tap, has waited 3 days.
Yep, but
fights break out. Someone was beat up Monday. I am still here. This is where I sleep. I can't get fuel. I can't do anything. I can't work. I haven't eaten. The money in my pocket is only for gas.
The fuel crisis that has paralyzed the Western Hemisphere's poorest nation follows a political crisis after the assassination of the nation's last president and an earthquake that killed 2,000 people earlier this year.
Fuel is slowly starting to trickle into Port-au-Prince, but the lines are long and it runs out fast. When that happens, drivers just have to wait for the next shipment, hoping it won't be hijacked by gangs. Over the past several days, a number of trucks have been commandeered, the drivers have been kidnapped, and what fuel the gangs don't use for themselves, they sell on the black market.
The lack of diesel fuel that powers hospitals throughout the country leaves some in the dark. With no lights, women at this hospital try to wait until daylight to give birth, as tanks across the nation sit empty.
This has to end. We just need fuel. We don't need violence.
Despite government promises, the fuel shortage shows no sign of improving, leaving many to wonder how much worse the situation in Haiti can get. John Hendren, Al Jazeera, Port-au-Prince.
Internationally, Charity says the coronavirus pandemic has led to a rise in child marriages globally. In parts of Malawi, the number has nearly doubled, but it is not just the pandemic to blame for the young girls becoming victims of early marriages. Al Jazeera's Haru Mutasa reports.
When the sun rises over Lake Malawi, Africa's third largest lake, it usually means early morning chores have to be done. Out here, washing dishes and doing the laundry is generally a job for young women and girls. When they finish, some of them will head off to school. But Chief Saliati Juma says every year, many girls drop out and become victims of early marriage. Lockdown measures to prevent the spread of COVID-19 in her community didn't help.
Children had nothing to do at home. Some got pregnant and got married. Usually when girls miss school, the teachers tell us and we found out why. But when the schools closed, it was hard to keep a check on them. Now that schools have opened, we see that some girls aren't in class.
Community leaders managed to persuade these teen mothers to go back to school. One girl says she wants to become a journalist, the others, nurses.
At first, my husband didn't want me to leave him. He ordered me to stay. When the police got involved, he got scared and let me go. Now he has found another wife.
Even before the pandemic, Malawi had one of the highest rates of early child and teenage pregnancy in the world.
1 out of 2 girls are getting married before their age of 18. Then it definitely is a problem, isn't it? Almost like half of the women population, which is 51% of the Malawi total population, is becoming dropping out of school, number one, and secondly, becoming a mother before age of 18.
Teachers say rising poverty could force more girls out of school and into early marriages.
Especially parents, they also take part in those marriages because they encourage their children to get married so that they can have something to earn from those men.
Malawi is one of the poorest countries in the world. Most of its budget comes from foreign aid. Jobs are hard to find. The only real option out here is farming, and there isn't enough work for everyone. Some young people will try to get to South Africa to find work there. For those who can't do that, getting married seems to be the only option. The law in Malawi forbids marriage for both boys and girls under 18, but without proper enforcement, it still happens. Harumatasa, Al Jazeera, Mangochi, Malawi.
And finally, as the COP26 talks continue in Glasgow, poorer countries such as the Philippines says it is essential that wealthier nations stamp up the money promised to help them cope with the effects of climate change and move towards carbon neutrality. Al Jazeera's Jamila Al-Madugan reports.
Ariel Cortez has been a fisherman all his life. He grew up and started his own family in this coastal village in Manila Bay. But life has been hard over the last few years, and now he's thinking of moving somewhere else.
Catching fish for us now feels more like finding luck. We have to head out further at sea to fish all day, hoping to come back with a bigger harvest. That means we also need a bigger boat, which consumes more fuel, and there is not much left for us after that.
More than 2,000 families live on this part of Manila Bay. Many of them have been living here for generations, and almost all of them are dependent on fishing for their livelihood. People here tell us the sea level in Manila Bay is continuing to rise, and they've had to raise the floors in their homes to avoid them being submerged. They say this rise in sea level is due to climate change.
It's rising by 12.13 millimeters per year. And if I'm not mistaken, the global average is a little bit higher than 3 millimeters. Countries in the middle of the planet would have a different number. And for the Philippines, it's 4 times higher.
The Philippines accounts for less than 1% of global greenhouse gas emissions, but it's among countries most at risk from the impacts of climate change. And like other poorer nations at risk, the Philippines says finance from wealthy countries is essential to deliver on their climate plans.
For the poor,
President Rodrigo Duterte says the poor are always playing catch-up with the rich, with no hope of ever succeeding in closing the gap. He says that's because developed countries, who remain the biggest polluters, choose to do business as usual.
developed countries must fulfill their long-standing commitment to climate financing, technology transfer, and capacity building in the developing world. This is a moral obligation that cannot be avoided.
Ariel Cortez says he may not fully understand the science behind climate change, but he lives with its effects every day. Jamela Alindogan, Al Jazeera, Manila.
And that is it for today's regional and international news. Here now is your 3-day weather forecast. And that is all for this edition of Channel 2 Headline News Updates. Tune in on Friday at 5:30 p.m. for another episode. Be sure to subscribe, like, and follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Until then, have a happy Diwali. And please, take care of yourself and each other.